Meanwhile, a pledge to strengthen the economy, President-elect Donald Trump addressing the nation and giving a preview of how he plans to advance the U.S. economy.
We have a great economic plan. We will double our growth and have the strongest economy anywhere in the world. At the same time, we will get along with all other nations, willing to get along with us.
Here now, Steve Calk, Trump senior economic advisor. I mean, it is exciting to see the ways out of the gate that he could immediately make the economy grow. We were making our own list. I mean, repeal and replace Obamacare. He can just strip back regulation almost immediately that has been hampering business. Dodd-Frank, some of the worry spots, there's trade. There's also the idea, I mean, what about, is there a chance the Federal Reserve would come in and just raise rates right here in the end to kind of stick it to him? I mean, he's been very critical of Janet Yellen, and you could see that, you know, maybe she would say, you know what, it is time. Let's go. What do you think?
I don't see that happening. I don't think that's in her plan, and I don't think that's the best thing for the country between now and the end of the year. I think going back to your previous points, you know, the main agenda items, the tax policies, the trade policies, the regulation and rollback of regulation, as well as the energy policies, are things that I've been talking about for, gosh, almost a year now, including my prediction that stocks would rally once we got into this great position of Mr. Trump becoming the president-elect. When we look at the tax policy alone, the growth that will create, the opportunities for business, and as a 14-year member of the World Presidents Organization, I can tell you with the hundreds and hundreds of CEOs that I speak to around the country, they've been holding back, and now they are ready to double down, grow their businesses, build that building, enter new markets. It's a very, very exciting time.
Without question, I mean, what is your sense of the pace at which he would move on the tax side? Because I don't know if you heard David Asman talking about earlier that one of Reagan's regrets was moving too slowly on that front and trying to ease America into it. What about the pacing?
We've been talking about this for almost a year, and I think the first 100 days is going to happen in the way that Mr. Trump has shared it. I mean, look, he's bringing people on who are experts in those areas. My background, community banking, banking, and the military, I mean, those are areas that I think I can bring a ton of value and have, at least hopefully, throughout this year as we've talked about our policies and the things that we want to advance that brought us to where we are today.
People worry about a trade war. What can you tell us about that?
Look, I think one of the most obvious things that people are afraid of is certainly the fact that, you know, look, Mr. Trump loves Hispanic Americans. They're such an integral and important part of our community, the fabric of who America is. But we've got trade imbalances.
That's immigration. I mean, we're talking about the idea that if you say to China, we're going to, you know, we're going to raise the tariff to try and make it a more level playing field. In the long run, that could be good. In the short run, it means goods are really expensive for people.
No, look, what I'm talking about isn't immigration. What I'm talking about are trade imbalances, like the 16% VAT that we have in Mexico. In other words, if Mexican products are produced in Mexico and sent to the U.S., it's essentially duty-free. But if American products are manufactured here and sent to Mexico, there's a 16% VAT. That's a 16% subsidy right there alone. So it's those kind of imbalances. And when we talk about Mexico, sometimes people confuse those trade policies with some kind of anti-immigration policy, and that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the policy of putting America first.
Steve, we've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to have to do it another time. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.